Some people make a lot of money but still feel broke. Some people, even though they can afford it, every time they spend money, they feel guilty about it. I thought that money is just about simple math. But then I started reading this book and I realized that it's about emotions. I'm talking about Money on My Mind by Vicky Reynal. And the simple idea that stood with me was the fact that a lot of money problems are actually not money problems. They are just emotional patterns that started a long, long time ago. Think about it. Most likely you know somebody that earns a lot of money, but at the end of each month they end up broke. Or maybe you know somebody that has a lot of money, but every time they need to spend that money on something, they feel uncomfortable, they feel uneased. This is what this book tries to explain. According to the author, our financial behavior is not fully rational. It's mostly driven by fear, by shame, by our identity, and a lot of our experience from our childhood. And once I read that, a lot of things started to make more sense. For example, if comfort was emotionally missing growing up, spending can become an emotional relief. It's not because you need something, but it's that spending is making you feel better or good for a moment. If in your childhood you felt financially unstable, you will be doing exactly the opposite. You save, you hoard, you hesitate, you hold back, not because you're disciplined, but because your brain learned that comfort or safety can disappear. And if acceptance felt uncertain, money can become a way for you to belong. The right clothes, the right lifestyle, the right signals. And the most uncomfortable thing about this is that from the outside, this looks perfectly normal. Someone calls it being responsible. Someone else calls it being ambitious. But underneath, sometimes it's fear wearing a smarter outfit. What it hit me pretty hard was the fact that I wasn't like fitting in just one pattern. I'm just something between underspending and fearing that the money is never enough. I can delay buying big things for me, even though I can afford them. Sometimes I just research too much, sometimes I'm just asking myself, do I really need this? And don't get me wrong, it's a good idea for you to ask yourself, but sometimes it's not about that object, it's not about that thing. I remember being in Seville and wanted to buy a perfume. I liked it, I could afford it, but I still ended up not buying it. Not because I didn't want it, but because I started doing a lot of mental math, and that thing it had nothing to do with the perfume. Do I need it? Will I regret it? Is it worth it? Should I save that money instead? And suddenly it stopped being about the perfume. I've done the same thing with bigger purchases too, also. I overthought about buying a new phone for months, not because I couldn't afford it, but because once that money leaves my account, it will become something else. It becomes future security, freedom, distance from needing that money later. And I think that was the most important part and the most honest for me. Sometimes it's not just about money that feels scarce. It becomes future security, freedom, distance from needing that money later. And I think that was the most honest part for me, because money sometimes doesn't need to feel scarce. Is that I want to have enough money to be in a position where I don't need to work for money. And that quickly changes things about how I spent money, because it started to be a competition with a bigger idea, freedom. And this is where this book gets very useful, because you stop asking questions like, why am I so weird with money? And you start asking yourself better questions like, what is this behavior trying to protect? Fear, approval, safety? And that question lands differently. So if you want to take one thing from this video, make it practical. When you are hesitating about spending, don't just ask yourself, can I afford it? Ask yourself what emotion is trying to show up. Is it fear? Is it guilt? Is it that I want to stay in control? Or was it the feeling that somehow spending makes you go away from safety? And that pause, that small pause, makes a lot of difference, because at the end of the day it's not about you spending more, it's not about you spending less, it's about making sure that you are the one that makes that decision, and it's not an emotional pattern behind it. So maybe the biggest problem is not how much money you are making, maybe it's the story that you learn that it's behind it, even before you earn anything. And I want to give you one more practical thing for you to have. Think about the last purchase that you delayed. Not about the money, not about the math. Ask yourself, what was I protecting? That answer might teach you more than any budget ever could.